Hello and welcome to the Dad Whisperer. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Watson, and I'm so thrilled that you're joining me here again today, especially if you're a dad who wants to add more tools to your fathering toolbox. My passion, as you know, is to help dads become heroes, and it's with that foundation that I love being here with you all week after week to bring you relevant topics that support that goal. Well, before we head into our topic today, here's the template that serves as a grid for our conversation week after week, which is on your mark, get set, go. So dads, I invite you to envision yourselves standing side by side each other, getting ready to run your fathering race this week. And I'm on the sidelines as your coach, cheering you on and saying on your mark, get set, go. On your mark is the topic or the theme. Get set is filling that in with stories and stats, ending with go, which is always your practical way to put your love for your daughters and your sons into action this week. Well, on your mark today is the Corona Survival Kit for Dads. So now for Get Set, it's time to fill that in with some stories, with some stats, and with some practical ways, dads, that you can use this time strategically with your kids where we're all crammed under one roof in close quarters now with dads at home, moms at home, kids at home. And I'm hearing from many dads that you are needing some practical survival strategies to make the best use of this time. So here we all are experiencing something that we've obviously never faced before in our lifetime, a global pandemic. So we're all learning terms that literally we had no vocabulary for, 6 weeks ago. Now we're all talking about COVID-19, coronavirus, quarantine, social distancing, social isolation, and on it goes. Well, the thing that's hit us all so hard, to state the obvious, is how fast it's all happened, right? Without warning. I mean, even this week I talked with a friend who said it's crazy to think that none of that was on our radar even just, a month ago, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. And I'm sure you have stories just like I do of all kinds of impact to the lifestyle that we've all had. We're all pulling back. We're all holding back. We're all changing the rhythms that we've had. I have a niece's wedding that got canceled at the last minute, got moved to a Thursday in her parents' backyard. Clearly not the vision she had for her wedding or her honeymoon that got canceled. I'm sure you know kids, probably your own, who are now having to end the school year at home. They don't get to do the end of the year fun things. And maybe as a dad, you're having to come up with some creative ways to meet your daughter or your son in new ways. I even saw a video this week of a dad who invited his daughter to dress up in her prom dress, and she came downstairs and he danced with her. Of course, those are the videos that go viral. Why? Because it's dads who are stepping in and stepping up to meet their kids right where they're at, because we're all in a season of change. Even one of my friends just about 3 weeks ago told me that because she's in a season of medical crisis in her own life, where her body is shutting down, most likely with a diagnosis of ALS, she said, as strange as this may sound, Michelle, this is the first time I haven't felt so alone with what I'm going through. She said, I'm increasingly aware of my own mortality, and no one has been able to relate to me until now. And she said, everyone is finally experiencing a little bit of what I'm experiencing every single day. I mean, her words hit me so hard. I thought she was exactly right. I'm not thinking about my mortality. But now I'm sure most of us know someone who's either been hit with this virus, maybe even that's died from this virus. We're all in a different space than we've ever been. I mean, I don't know about you, but I would say that the atmosphere and the air feel different now. I mean, the roads that we're driving on feel different, right? There's less people on them. The stores with bare shelves feel different. Hello, no TP. We all are feeling that one. I mean, we're all different now because of this. And yet, our new normal is set against a backdrop where for months, the focus was on how divided we've been as a country. And yet it seems to me that this crisis is bringing us together as we suffer together, we strategize collectively, and we're all acutely aware that if we don't work together, we're not going to beat this thing. So, Dad, let me ask you a question. At this point in this season of quarantine, are you ready for a reprieve from the social distancing, working at home thing? I mean, most parents are saying, I'm ready to pull my hair out. I'm not a homeschool teacher. I'm not equipped for this. Well, again, your kids weren't equipped for this either, right? All of us are having to adjust on the fly. And yet I've heard so many stories from moms, from dads, from friends who are saying that slowing down has actually felt good and it's even felt right. And those are the positive things I'm hearing. Even this week, I talked with a 12-year-old girl, and I literally, this was through telehealth, said, "You look so much better than a month ago." She said, "It's because I'm sleeping." Here she is doing homeschool, but the stressors of pressures at school and friend drama literally was having a negative impact on her. But now, with more sleep, I imagine that many of your kids are actually a little more pleasant to live with on that side of things because they're getting more sleep. Well, I want to encourage you, Dad, to stay focused on your goal of dialing into your daughter's heart. Of course, your son's as well, with intention, with patience, with love, and with grace through the entirety of this pandemic. I mean, Dad, keep your eyes fixed on the bigger picture, which is to focus on investing in ways that yield lasting dividends with a long-term return. Okay, that's my fancy way of saying that you can use this time to create forever memories with your kids where you bond more and you grow closer during this crisis. So, of course, not any of us would have ever expected this or chosen this, but Dad, I want you to understand that this concept of trauma bonding, which is the strongest bond that two people can ever have, is what you can have at the end of this if you're strategic about how you go through it. I mean, just to make that make sense, think about 9/11. If there were two people that were stuck in a stairwell during that crisis, those two people forever bonded. They may have never met, but because they were in a trauma together, they bonded. So, Dad, you can bond with your daughter, with your son through this, or you can have a breakdown, a breaking apart. That bond can get real thin if you don't think strategically, but you get to choose. I mean, if you were sitting in my counseling office, here's what you would hear me tell you. I would say, right now, there are more things that are out of your control than things that are normal. Do I hear an amen? Yeah. Would you agree? Of course. So to counter those feelings of being helpless, feeling scared, overwhelmed, every single day, find an area where you can make a choice. Help your daughter to do the same thing. That's going to help her and you feel like you have some control. So it might be that you say, I'm going to have the same rhythm every day. Let's get up at the same time, go to bed at the same time. Let's get exercise in. Let's have a rhythm where we begin to gather together around the table. I'm going to give you that as an action step at the end. But what you do every day where you can have control is going to help offset the areas right now that we're all in where we don't have control. Okay, let me say it another way. Establishing a routine will help you feel like you have some control in your world, even while the world outside you may feel out of control. Okay, here's something else I've noticed. While we're being forced to face the uncertain, we're living in a time where the loudest voices have the most impact. I mean, I guess it's always been that way, right? Whether it's a celebrity or it's maybe a famous pastor, but the loudest voices have the most impact. And especially when this started just 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, I found that I kept wondering, where are the truth tellers? I kept listening for those who would steer us to look up and believe for miracles despite our fear. And I would say even in the last week or two, I'm starting to hear more voices that I would say fall in that category of truth tellers. But Dad, this could be your finest hour to be a voice of strength, even the loudest voice in your daughter's life, if you think that way. Be a voice that heralds hope and highlights God's peace, God's purposes, God's promises. Because if you don't speak up, then every other voice will outrank yours. And I'm sure you recognize those words, Dad, this could be your finest hour. Because, right, they come from Apollo 13. You probably remember either that movie or hearing the story of flight director Gene Kranz, who overheard two NASA directors as they were discussing the low survival chances for that crippled spacecraft. Remember that? And one of them said, I know what the problems are, Henry. This could be the worst disaster NASA has ever experienced. And that's when Kranz intervened and he said, with all due respect, sir, I believe this is going to be our finest hour. Dad, this is a key thing to understand is, yes, this crisis is changing all of us, but it could be your finest hour if you think strategically about how can you connect and bond, trauma bond, with your daughter while going through this. Because the truth is, we're not going to get out of it. So we might as well think positively, think proactively, think strategically about how to go through it. Are you with me? Okay, I wish I could look at you right now while you're looking back at me and I'm saying, do I hear an amen? Of course, you want to be a dad that thinks strategically and uses this time to bond with your daughter and your son. And that's why I want to end today with some really practical action steps so that you can have a strategy and really a survival kit of how you go through this. I really wanted to call it a thrival kit, which isn't a word, but I think I want you to thrive now, dads, not just survive. But since that's not a word, that's the title you get for today, the survival kit, the Corona survival kit for dads. So dad, use this time to get closer to your daughter, because even if she hasn't expressed that she's scared, I assure you that she has some level of anxiety about her future, what this could mean even with friendships. I mean, truth be told, part of me is exactly at that place, while part of me is grounded and okay. So I imagine your daughter's there too. So I speak on behalf of your daughter just to say that if you get close enough to hear where her heart is at and what her heart is saying, which is another way of saying her emotions, what they're saying, she'll never forget your investment in her. Here's what she needs from you. 3 things. She needs you to tune in to her fears by coming alongside to affirm, to listen, and to validate. Number 2, she needs you to show up and dial in to where she's at, not where you want her to be. In fact, let me just insert this. Dad, I'm an oldest daughter. The thing you don't want to say to the oldest is, now you know the others are watching you. You need to set the example. No, meet your oldest daughter, whatever age, whatever birth order position your kids are at. Meet them where they're at, not where you want them to be. And number 3, she needs you to reassure her that you want to be her rock to steady her and comfort her, ultimately leading her to the rock that is her ultimate support. And by that, you know I'm talking about Jesus. So Dad, now let's get to the practical part of our conversation today about how you can be your daughter's grounding force through this crisis as you stay calm and positive. So I have 7 ways for you to do just that, and I'm calling this the Corona Survival Kit for Dads. Well, if you're just joining us today, welcome. I'm Dr. Michelle Watson, the Dad Whisperer, and today I'm talking about ways that you as fathers can use this time of quarantine with your family to turn this into your finest hour. So here's the good news for you as dads. While we're being instructed to comply with social distancing directives and guidelines, you can actually increase social connection by pursuing closeness with your daughter because you're family. Right? You're stuck under the same roof. You might as well be strategic. So if you're a dad who wants to use this time to bond more with your daughter while creating forever memories that will last long after this crisis is over, then here are a few things that will not only help you survive the crisis, but like I said earlier, it will help you thrive during this crisis. Number 1, here's the first tool, the first equipping skill into your Corona Survival Kit. 1, I call it think backwards. Well, this is a concept you may have heard me talk about here. You may have read that in my book, Dad, Here's What I Really Need From You, a guide for connecting with your daughter's heart. But here's what think backwards means. In the past, I've said, Dad, think to the end of your life, and if there was one thing your daughter had to say about you, what would you want it to be? Then come to the present and live that out. Well, what's interesting is last week, it was one of those mornings I was just waking up, and I literally had that drop into my spirit. And the thought came to me, Michelle, what do you want to say at the end of this pandemic? And then bring that forward. Like, what's the forever story that you want to tell? It was like God was saying it to me. Michelle, what do you want to say at the end of this about how you went through it? And 2 words just popped into my spirit. The words were unwavering faith. I thought, that's what I want to say about how I went through it, which is now guiding me every single day. Am I having unwavering faith, or am I fumbling? Am I fumbling the ball? Am I kind of tripping up because I'm going to panic or worry about the future or worry about finances or whatever? Okay, so Dad, I would say right now, maybe stop if you're listening to a podcast. If you're in the car, write this down. Think backwards and ask yourself at the end of this pandemic, what do you want your forever story to be? What do you want to live out for in front of your kids and live out for yourself? And then write that down. And I'd invite you to ask your daughter the same question. At the end of this pandemic, what's the story that you want to tell about how you went through it? Got it? So having a goal in mind that directs and guides your focus every day will help you weather the storm more purposely. You could even invite your kids to do some kind of an art project with their word or words. Make it a poster, paint something, do a collage, and then they could hang that up so that everyone in your home is thinking backwards, which then comes into the present and guides how they live every single day with you at the helm leading the way. Sound good? Okay, number 2. Here's your next skill for your Corona Survival Kit. Number 2, ask your daughter what she needs from you right now. She may need you to listen, to play a game, to tell jokes, to lighten things up. She may want to do a project with you or have you do one with her. I mean, she may have been saying for a couple years, I want my room painted. Okay, no better time than the present. Why not join her in a project of something she wants to do, or maybe you'll invite her to do a project with you. Either way. Maybe you even want to stay up all night and do a movie marathon. In fact, I just talked with a dad and his teenage daughter probably about a month or 2 ago. They stayed up all night and played Risk. And this daughter was beaming. I knew this would be a forever memory for them. You may want to stay up and do a movie marathon all night. I'm telling you, dads, why not? You can sleep in the morning anyway. It's a different rhythm, a different routine. Ask your daughter what she needs and say, let's join together and partner together to get that need met, whatever that might be. Okay, number 3, here's your next practical action step, Dad. Pick one of these today for your Corona Survival Kit. 3, gather around the table as a family to talk about what each one of you is thinking and feeling. So implied in that one is when I say gather around the table, did you get my subliminal message? I'm saying this would be a good time to bring meal times back where everyone gathers around the table. We've lost that in our culture because everyone is running off to sports at different times. And I hear that a lot from people, especially since in my counseling practice, I work a lot with eating disorders. And beginning to establish a rhythm is really key to healing and grounding for us as humans. We're eating on a regular basis at regular times. So Dad, why not initiate gathering around the table as a family to talk about what each one of you is thinking and feeling? Tell everyone there can be no criticizing or teasing. This is a time to be honest about what we're thinking and feeling. In fact, my friend Bo Stern has been calling this time quarantine, T-E-A-M. I love that. Think, Dad, how can you bring the team together at home where everyone can gather in the same space at the same time to talk about what each one of you is thinking and feeling? Okay? So there's a third way that you can, as a dad, lead as you're putting tools into your Corona Survival Kit. Okay? Number 4, you can reflect back on ways that you and your daughter connected when she was younger, and then bring one tradition back. So you reflect on what you used to do, and then you bring that back. So you can think of this as walking down memory lane. You can do this by talking with her and remembering together, or you could get out photo albums that could spark your recall, whatever you want to do. But come up with something that you used to do together and bring it back. So I think of, for me, when I was a little girl, my dad and I used to get up on Saturday mornings and we'd watch cartoons as we let Mom sleep in. So me and my sister, who is 2 years younger, would lay on the floor with my dad. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to think. It was like Roadrunner, like way old cartoons. Some of you probably remember that. But you know what was so fun is we would eat cereal in bowls on the floor. And it was this routine every Saturday in this rhythm that was super fun. We'd have that to look forward to, dad and daughter time. I would love it if my dad did that with me now. I'm telling you, it doesn't even matter. Here I am in my 50s, and I'm like, I would love to have Saturday morning cartoons with my dad. So dad, sit down with your daughter, come up with something you used to do, whether you surprise her with it or together you strategize and bring it back this week. Okay, number 5, next thing for your Corona Survival Kit, dads. No matter her age, initiate or renew a practice of checking in with her before bedtime. This is a way that you can end the day with giving loving and affirming words. So studies show that the last thing we think about or talk about or hear before we go to sleep is often correlated to our dreams and our unconscious thoughts during the night. So during this break from your normal routine, where you and your daughter are probably closer together than you've been in a long time every night under the same roof, why not use this time to connect with her at the end of every day, and then you speak words of life into her that calm and ground her in your love. So you're thinking every day, every night, before she goes to bed, I want to tell her something positive that affirms her. It might be, you had a really positive attitude today, and I could tell it was a rough day for you. And I'm so proud of you that you had a smile on your face today. Or I'm so proud of you that you gave to your brother or sister today. I knew you didn't want to play with them, but I saw you playing a game with them on the floor. Wow, I saw such strength. Find character qualities. I saw strength. I saw patience. I saw positivity, whatever it is, and every day with positive, loving, affirming words. Okay, number 6, join your daughter in the kitchen to bake or cook something for yourselves or the family. So we know that restaurants are closed. We're all being forced to get creative at home with food choices and meal prep. So like Plato said, necessity is the mother of invention, which for now means we're going to have to figure out how to cook things in our own kitchens, or we're going to have to just order takeout. But why not join your daughter, whip up a meal or a dessert for the two of you or for your family? And get ready for tons of laughter. I mean, come on, throw a flower on each other, drop the egg on the floor, do anything that's going to create some laughter and some lightness, because it's a heavy season for your kids, no doubt. And your daughter's watching you to see how you're going through it. So why not join her in the kitchen, ask her to teach you how to cook something she loves, or maybe you'll teach her how to cook something you love. And then post your pictures that you take. You've got to take pictures. Post them on social media with the hashtag #DadDaughterSelfie. I tell you, you're going to both love it. Okay, number 7. Here's the last idea that I have for you of how you can bond with your daughter during this time, another tool for your Corona Survival Kit. Every day this week, read a psalm out loud to your daughter or your son. Of course, if you have a boy, tell him too, that you've got something you want to read to him. Now, sometimes dads have told me they don't know what to do to be a spiritual leader. Well, I'm here to say that just doing one thing will make a significant impact. So right now, with everything feeling turned upside down and backwards, what better time than to lead your daughter to look up to God? So a couple psalms that I have found that have been really meaningful to my heart, especially in the last month, are Psalm 23 and Psalm 91. So if you don't know where to start, Dad, I would suggest that you go to one of those two chapters, 23 or 91, and the words are right there in front of you. And even if your daughter isn't a fan of the Bible, she actually might be more open to spiritual things these days if she's needing some extra spiritual comfort and strength. So let me quickly review the 7 ways that you as a dad can bond with your daughter right now during this season. Number 1, think backwards. Go to the end of the pandemic and say, what do I want to live out in front of my daughter and my son? And then define it and have that be your focus every day. Number 2, ask your daughter what she needs from you right now, and then meet that need. Number 3, gather around the table as a family to talk about what each of you is thinking and feeling. Number 4, reflect on ways that you and your daughter connected when she was younger and bring that tradition back. 5, no matter her age, initiate or renew a practice of checking with her before bedtime, and then end the day with giving loving and affirming words. Number 6, join your daughter in the kitchen to bake or cook something for yourselves or for your family. And number 7, every day this week, read a psalm out loud to your daughter or your son. So there you have it, the Corona Survival Kit for Dads, with 7 key ways that you as a father can turn this crisis into the best bonding experience you've ever had with her, where she'll glean the rewards of having you near her. So in closing, On Your Mark today has been the Corona Survival Kit for Dads. You've heard lots of practical ways that you can invest in your daughter and your son during this season. As always, you can go to my website at drmichellewatson.com and find free resources where you can also sign up for my bi-monthly Dad-Daughter Friday blogs. There's also a link to Amazon where you can find my book, Dad, Here's What I Really Need From You, a guide for connecting with your daughter's heart. And remember, you can also subscribe to the Dad Whisperer podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Google Play, where you can listen back to any of the past shows or share them with your friends. This wraps up another week's program. It's been great to be here with you all. I'm Dr. Michelle Watson, the Dad Whisperer, encouraging you to make today a day where you are intentionally and consistently investing in pursuing your daughter's hearts. Go Dads!